If you already have a friend who will produce, then I think it might be doable, but then you need to know everybody basically.
Are you going to be happy and that you might have regrets later on in life? The odds are, because it's a reality that you have to deal with, that this industry can be very rewarding but also very consuming of your times.
The relationship has been like constructed that way, you know what I mean? Like you can, like people that we're friends with that have like acted in things or, you know, been part of cast or crew, there's an understanding there between like the work and the relationship. Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Kalen.
And I'm Jakob.
And welcome back to Department Spotlight. It's the show where we talk with our friends and colleagues about their experiences in the film industry. And in this episode, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Reddit. You've heard about it. You've probably been on it. There's pros, there's cons.
Heard about it? No, I read it.
Yeah, that was good. Let's jump into it. So on Reddit specifically, we're going to be looking at filmmaking questions, just scrolling and answering them ourselves. If you come from those Reddits, then sound down in the comments below. Maybe we'll jump on over to Reddit as well and do some engagement there as well.
Okay, cool. So I'm here on Reddit. Our first question is
What board?
Right.
Anyway?
So we are on r/filmmakers. Because r/filmmaking merged with r/filmmakers 9 years ago.
Plot twist.
Because I tried filmmaking and I was like, all these questions so old. And then the top post, which I never read, is we merged with filmmakers. So, yeah. Cool. So we no particular order. Obviously, questions change on Reddit like every 10 minutes. So I'm just going to read the first one here, which is, how do I hire a film producer?
Who said it?
This is a question by Gucci Little Piggy.
Great.
She says, or he, they say, I have 30K to make a feature film. I have a script. How do I go about hiring a producer to help me with hiring cast, crew, locations, and managing my budget? Also, how expensive are producers in general? Is it realistic with my budget? Thanks for the help.
Well, you could ask on Reddit.
First step, do the thing that you already did. Okay, so 30,000, I assume it's dollars. They just say 30K. I think making a feature film for $30,000 when you're trying to look for a producer is tough. I think if you already have a friend who will produce, then I think it might be doable, but then you need to know everybody basically. $30,000 is like, what, 500,000 Rand? Right. And so roughly. Yeah. So we're going to think of it in terms of us here in South Africa. That'll probably be enough to have like a really small crew if you maybe already own the camera yourself and all the gear. You don't have to rent. And you're paying everybody not what their usual rates are. I think it's possible. It's very low. It's going to be very difficult to shoot a feature film on that. What do you guys think?
I think from my perspective, like, I honestly, like, if you know people, not like amateurs, but like people that's in your circles, because I don't really know this person's background, but like if they did go to a film school or something like that, or they have some connects, I think try and get people that you are close friends with, that you can maybe try and negotiate with more easily, and just like, you know, like our Wes Anderson, when he started, you know, like with a bottle rocket and all of that, like it was with his schoolmates and all of that stuff. So like people that you know you can trust, that have similar passions, similar interests, that you know, not just for the sake of getting someone that's your friend, but someone that you know has a similar kind of passion and has an interest in getting into acting. Usually you can get that kind of help. And when it comes to finding a producer, similarly try and see how much of it you can research and try and take over as much as possible yourself, which can be a bit hard, but like that person was asking, because then how do you do the budgeting and all that other sub questions, the producer will take over.
But that's the question, though. How do you get a producer?
So, like, I think it's a pretty hard question because usually you get scouted for those kind of things. But I think try, if you can't find a proper producer starting out, 'cause, I mean, feature, that's so hectic to maybe just find someone that's good with logistics as, or like an accountant or something like that, or speak to someone that's just good in logistics in other business areas. Like, remember those movie we shot recently, like, where people just were good business people as well. So I think that just helps out. If you can't find a proper producer, just maybe find someone that's really good with business in general and finances and logistics.
Also, speak to other people that you know in the film industry and maybe get a connection with the producer that way. Do other work, just work that you're doing, and then you'll potentially meet producer that way. There's also film festivals. If you go there with like a pitch package already and you say that you've already got $500,000, then $30,000, then you might be able to pitch the project that way to not only get a producer but potentially get like more money.
And you could possibly find a producer.
So what I'm thinking is, for $30,000, if you try to make a feature film, it might be really difficult because you need to get marketing in there, you need to get distribution in there. It's so that funding doesn't just cover the film, right? So what I would suggest is you can get a higher ranking producer if you're making a short film for $20,000, let's say, or you can spend the whole 30 grand on a short film and then pay people like more and then get a higher ranking producer because you're paying the producer more, who can then take the project, the short film plus your feature film script, because obviously your script's done, and then pitch it, maybe send it to festival, pitch it to get more money for a feature. I feel like that might be a better idea, but also it's a gamble because nothing could happen with your short form.
But I think it's less of a gamble because, like you said, like the thing is, if you make a short film, it shows your merit and where you come from and like what you're capable of. Because to just tell a producer, I have the money, can you back me? It's like hard to then give them a reference, unless I'm not sure if this person has references, but if they don't, I think that is a really good way to go because it's like just to show them a track record. But if you do have a track record and you feel like you're competent enough and you're at that stage where you have the money, I think, like Mark said, festivals is a really good opportunity with try to go to as much networking events as possible, try and pitch it, try and show the merit of the story. If you wrote it, try and show similar stories you wrote and directed. But it's more like, I think in networking events, if you have a track record will help, but if you don't have a track record, I would say rather, like Yaku said, make a short film so that you can then take that then again to a networking event and then show them this is where I want to go with step this and this, because it's going to be really tough because a lot of the times I feel like when directors do make their short, like if they go straight into a feature film, straight into it, I think it's because usually they already have a producer friend or they're willing to like just take on that role and understand it. So it's really difficult if you have no track record to just try and make something out the gate and try and convince the producer. But if you do, like you said, that's the other avenues.
Also, I don't know this person, but if you're looking for a producer, then maybe you don't have that much experience, because if you knew all the crew members, you would have a lot of experience. So maybe I'm thinking this is sort of a new person who has an idea for a script and they've got a bit of money, they want to make it. I would say do a short film because it's also safer in terms of experience, getting more on-set experience, getting to know more people, doing a short first, and then using that to make your feature with more money.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Move on to the next one. Do you think it's possible to become a first-time director after 40 anymore? I'm basically starting from nothing, although filmmaking was always my love and what I had hoped to do. Unfortunately, deep depression and poverty sidelined me for most of my adult life. That is from Darren888. That's actually, I think so, but I think the gist of the question is, do you think you can be a first-time director after 40? And I would say, heck yeah. There's so many directors I feel like that started at a later age. Yeah, and with Gareth Edwards, he like did a lot of special effects work and stuff like that, and made a name for himself behind the scenes, and kind of operated in that space before he really made his feature. And like he went pretty late on into life, not really I don't think he was past 40, but he was pretty late in his 30s when he started making his first feature. And I think there's nothing wrong with making your first feature after 40, not even 40 after 50 or something like that. I think, I think maybe some background in some form of filmmaking is required. I mean, the love and the passion is obviously good, but I think you do need to have a bit more practicality, because then even if you're in your 40s, I feel like if you just go on set, it just gets a bit more experience, and then make your first feature after 50, that's also fun. I mean, Bradley Cooper made A Star Is Born, and like, how old is he now? I mean, that's a bit of an extreme example, but I'm just saying, as long as you have some backing to it, I don't think it matters what age you start, as long as you can just...
So I think, yes, definitely, you should try it, you should do it, but I think it's important to manage expectations as well. Like, if you don't have, because it sounds like he doesn't have, or they don't have experience because they starting late because of poverty, they always loved filmmaking. I think it's definitely possible, but you can't expect to like go and pitch for features and get the feature job. You're probably gonna have to start with short films. You probably have to like basically do what we're doing, funding your own things, making connections, and then work your way up to doing. So if you're 40 now, you can like hustle really hard and like direct your first feature by like maybe 45, which is fine, perfect. 50 even is fine. If it takes you 10 years to get there, it's fine. Just you need to understand that your first thing isn't going to be a feature. That's what I would say. So if you're dedicated, you work your way up, I think it's totally possible, definitely.
Yeah, I think what I take from that, like, the age doesn't matter, but the amount of hours you put into the experience before making it. I think that's a thing. How old was that? Wasn't Ridley also quite late into it? Ridley.
Yeah, Ridley, good old pal.
First name Ridley.
Yeah, you know Ridley.
Ridley Scott made hundreds of commercials and music videos before he...
Yeah, but I just mean, when did he...
So I think quite late because he had made so many.
Yeah, exactly. Because like Michael Bay and all these guys, like, I think that's what we're trying to say, is that you need to first put in a lot of, like, the age doesn't matter. You need to put a lot of, like, your 10,000 hours if you're going with that, like, just to get to that point.
And like, if it's talking about being a first-time director, you can like fund your own short and direct it, then you're a director, you know?
Yeah, like, I don't, because here that term, it's pretty easy to make your first film if you want to make like your own thing. But I think to make something good and worthwhile as a first-time director, I think, you need to have the
ton of research, ton of...
Yeah,
even if you're just like going out there with the camera yourself just to figure out how it works, watching a bunch of YouTube videos. You don't have to go to film school at 40. You can if you want to. Yep, just put in the time.
I mean, look, we went to school with a lot of people that after that was actually like quite old.
Yeah, remember Stanley,
Darren Parker was also like in his 30s when he was there and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't think the age matters. Like you said, it's just the work you put in. And I also don't think just saying I have a love for movies is enough. You have to like try and find your avenues first and then get into it. Yeah.
Cool. So got another one here. It's a pretty long one, but I think it's really good. Do those who work in film have time for anything else? It says TLDR. Too long, didn't read, but I'm gonna read it. I don't want a life where all I ever do is work in film or practice filmmaking. I want to have a more balanced and healthy life with free time, family time, and hobbies. Is this unrealistic? I was in film school before the pandemic started, then deferred my university program, and am now taking business classes in the meantime. I've gone back and forth in my head and written pros and cons lists about working in film, and I just can't seem to make up my mind if going into filmmaking is the really kind of career I want to have. As far as I know, the minimum number of hours you work per day is 12, and it can be as much as 20 on a crazy day, and there's not really much you can do about this. So I'm asking those who are either early in their film career or already established, do you really have any time for anything else at all in your life? I mean, really, 12 to 16 hours per day working means by the time you get home, all you can do is sleep. I'm young, female, I love spending time with friends and family, and I have tons of hobbies that I currently take part in every day, and I can't imagine living a life where so much of your time is consumed by work. I imagine as well that with any free time you have, it would be expected to spend that time improving your craft as well. I've seen other posts here and in the film industry LA subreddit where people discuss how brutal the hours can be, and this makes going back into a film program now seem very off-putting to me. Since I'm getting myself a background in business administration, I would think that I would go into producing if I continue with film. Then I Googled the hours and responsibilities of producers and I'm intimidated again. And this is by user Japanese Spaghetti.
There was like a section there that sounded like they were pitching their like dating profile. They're like, I love my hobby. I remember watching this documentary on the Sundance channel about Richard Linklater, and in that documentary, like he was talking about like how like the hours and stuff can also put him under stress quite a bit. So he'll make a film and then like take a bit of a break and then go,
for a couple of years.
And come back. But I don't think it's practical for everyone. I think because he's so brilliant at what he does, like it's possible for him to just make really successful films that he can then live with and stuff like that. But I think that post kind of scares me a bit because I think you have to be someone that's willing to live and breathe film on some level. Like it can be scary, but I think there is ways to work around it. But if you're that intimidated now, I would say try rather maybe not go into it, because there's going to be times, because especially with a film, like if it's like a feature film and for like 6 months, your life is going to be hectic. There's no, especially at the producer, there's no and if or buts about that. So I think if you're worried about it now on like a small level and just thinking about going into it, I would suggest not, because it is going to be quite a bit of a life, and I think you have to have friends and partners that support that kind of lifestyle because they see your passion. And if you're scared of it, I would rather say don't, because you might have regrets later on in life, missing out on a lot. If you like, I don't know, I just feel like from my personal opinion, I think you have to be quite crazy on some level in particular the film industry, not corporate videos and that kind of thing, like film industry in general. You have to be quite dedicated to it, and if you can be successful enough to take those gaps, then it's cool and that's good. But I think there is going to be a lot of months where you're going to be having a lot of crunch time, not just on set, but with editing. And as a producer, you're going to be involved in every step from the beginning of pre-prod till post. So to them, I would say, if you are going to go into it, maybe then try and find something that's not producer related, because that will take up all your time. Maybe try and find something a bit smaller on the set that you can do. Maybe go into behind the scenes or stuff like that. That's a little less scope involved. But yeah, if you're worried now, it is a scary thing, and you do have to be quite dedicated. From my opinion,
I agree. I think if you're worried that you're not going to have time, you're probably not going to have time. But she's also like expecting to be busy all the time, which is not a thing. You work for like 3 months and then you have like a year off because you can't find another job. So that's another thing to consider. Like,
and that's also more stress, though.
Exactly. You're gonna have to do those jobs where you're working lots, because you don't know if you're gonna have another one next month. I would say to her, if she's worried about this, she shouldn't do it. But not necessarily shouldn't do filmmaking. She shouldn't do feature filmmaking, because like we said in another podcast, you can become like a commercials person or a corporate video person. You can edit promos, and then those are more structured for 9-to-5 jobs.
But even those, like from my friends that are just doing promos and commercials, like the relationships have ended because they're traveling to Durban, they're traveling to PE, they're traveling. So even on that scale, sometimes like it can burn a lot of relationships and stuff like that. And I think this industry in a whole can just be a bit all-consuming, especially if you want to go up for a higher position, because producing and all of that on those levels can be quite tough. I think the only time you'll be more stress-free is if you do something like us, so you have a production house, and then like in 5 or 6 years, it can get to the point where it can run itself with directors and producers below you and stuff. So maybe in that space you could try, but even building up to there, you're going to need to put in the hours. So I always used to say that, like for me personally, I always have like sometimes that thought, like, because it takes so much of my time, I feel like I should have gone into like another industry or something that is a 9-to-5. But because I have this like this urge, it can be seen as a good or bad thing, that says I need to be in this industry, it forces me. So if you're having that questions now and you haven't even got to those long hours, I would honestly recommend considering other options or something small on set. But even then, you're gonna have to stress about when you're gonna get another job, or because even like people that's makeup artists and all that, they still also have that feasting for 3 months and then that famine for another 6 months. So it's still stressful. So even when you're not working at long hours, you're stressing about the money. So I would say maybe try and look at something else.
Get a normal job, or you can become a film accountant, because that's a normal job and it's in the film industry.
or a film critic and just be a douchebag.
There we go.
There are definitely jobs in the film industry that are like 9 to 5, in more sort of like established spheres of things. But I mean, even if at any level, if you're going to be working on set, it's not sort of. I mean, it is, 12 hours, but 12 hours is a long time, and it's 12 hours of constant problem solving.
Unless you're like a casting director or something, maybe that's something. But
That's something as well.
Yeah. I think what Kaylin was saying about that sort of like urge to do it, you have to go into it without even the concern that it's like, is this a 9 to 5 job? Just like you have to do it. You know what I mean? It's not like another field where you go around saying that, oh, I work at this place from 9 to 5. Filmmakers go around saying I'm a filmmaker. It's like it's like a part of my identity. And if you just want it to be a job, there are certain places where it can just be a job. But I think for people who are really dedicated, not saying that you aren't in whatever field you're in, it's really good in all fields definitely to have good like work-life separation, obviously. But yeah, if you aren't if you don't have that urge to sort of walk around and be like, I'm a filmmaker, this is what I do, then probably not.
Yeah, I think especially if you're at the stage where it's not just you, like in that comment, it sounds like the person who's prioritizing their hobbies and stuff like that, which are like, I think is about like, for people that's just already prior, like when they're already scared about their relationships with friends and stuff, like if you're scared that your hobbies are going to be interfered with, don't even, the rest of your life's even more going to be quite like intense and hard to maintain. So yeah, I think really just look back at it, and it's not us saying give up on your dreams or anything like that, but if you don't, like right now, if you don't think that you're going to be happy and that you might have regrets later on in life, the odds are, because it's a reality that you have to deal with, that this industry can be very rewarding, but also very consuming of your time. So, yeah, it's something that I would believe that you'd have to really, really honestly think about, because it's a massive decision, and you just need to think about what you're going to be happy with looking back on in your later on in life,
Cool. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Japanese spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
Cool. Let's move on. I think we can do maybe one more, and then I think let's do a part 2. This one comes to us from user Marlon Rubio 28. I did not cast my girlfriend for a role in my short film, and she got mad. Not sure if this is the correct place to ask for advice, but I'll go for it. Everyone here knows that sometimes you cast a friend of yours for a role in your stories because they just fit perfectly in your mind, right? Well, that happened, and I asked 2 of my friends if they'd be interested, and they said yes. Win for me. However, my girlfriend wants to be an actress, and I did not cast her because she did not fit the role. I did not tell her that. Now, I just told her I had cast another friend for the role, and she asked me, why didn't I ask her? I said what I just explained initially. My friend was the person I thought of when writing the script. Now she's mad. Any tips on how to handle this situation?
That sounds more like a relationship movie. Also, he says he never told his girlfriend the real reason. Rip to if she's listening to this podcast, right? Yeah, I don't know. That seems more like relationship advice. I think I would be more honest and just be like, no, like, I feel like you'd fit a different kind of role, or just say that, like, if someone fits the role better, I don't think you should be forced to cast your friends or your girlfriend. Because I've also had people come up to me and be angry, like, why didn't you cast me in your movie? Why didn't you do this? But I think, like, the director knows what they kind of want in that scene and stuff. And maybe also you could have been like really insecure depending on the role if there was something a bit risque, because it takes a certain type of director to be okay with that if they are in the relationship with the actress and stuff like that. So maybe that are about to play, I don't know. But sometimes I'm like, for me personally, I don't think I could cast my girlfriend in something that, involved a little bit more intimate scenes.
I mean, but even just assuming that there aren't any intimate scenes, I feel like if you're a person who directs things and you're in a relationship with the person who acts in things, you should like talk about that when you're getting into the relationship. Because it's a weird relationship when somebody provides a job and it's your girlfriend or your wife or your boyfriend, whatever, taking the job. Not just in your eyes, in the eyes of the law. Like there's tax issues. So I feel like you should talk to your partner about, is it okay for me to put you in my things? Do you want that? Is it going to be weird for the relationship? Are we going to fight about it? Because then this won't happen, right? You'd be like, oh, but listen, I'm not just going to cast you because you're my girlfriend. I'm going to cast you if you fit the role. I mean, if you go to auditions, that's how it works. You cast people who fit the role. So I don't know. I think it should just be a discussion. And if you know that your partner wants you to cast them in things, then you should, and then you feel like, okay, I'm not going to cast her in this. Then you should tell her before you cast the other person, like, look, I wrote a thing. I'm going to do it. I don't think you're right for this role. I'm going to get this other person.
Yeah, and I think your girlfriend or whatever, even if it's just your friend or something, should, not saying that she's not professional and stuff, but I think you also just have that level of professionality as an actor first to be like, okay, if I wasn't cast, they obviously have their reasons, and I don't think you should ever ask someone why you're not in something or why you're not in it, like, because I feel like then if you do ever get the job in future and stuff like it's more like patronizing kind of thing. So I think you should rather just let your work speak for you. If you are cast, then it's fine. If you're not, and your conversation is important, but I think also as speaking to a girlfriend or whatever person's involved, like if it is a friend of anyone, like they shouldn't be too angered. Like they can joke about it or something, but if you take it too seriously, I think there needs to be a level of professionality where you're like, okay, it's fine, I'll move on, because then you're just trying to like get into like a film space of nepotism kind of thing. So I think the person on the other side needs to also be very understanding and needs to accept if you want cast, then sure, you can ask maybe why, to maybe for like professional notes, but don't take it personally. I don't think that's a very wise approach. Not to say anything bad to them, but I do think you need to have a level of professionalism when it comes to your career versus your personal life.
Yeah, I agree. I think working with people that you're in a relationship with, or even like a friendship, something is difficult, because I mean, even the people that we work with, that we're still friends with, I feel like we are as well. The relationship has been like constructed that way. You know what I mean? Like you can, like people that we're friends with that have like acted in things or been part of cast or crew. There's an understanding there between like the work and the relationship, and I feel like we're in a place with those. We have a certain relationship with those people that we can directly address those things, and we can talk about, the professional life versus the
work.
The work life.
The personal life.
So yeah, I think all that to basically say what you already said, which is communication as early as possible.
Okay, cool. So here's our next one. Okay.
The last one for this.
Our last one for this episode. Okay, so aside from being independently wealthy, which I don't think a lot of us are there any other ways of funding a film that don't require publicly begging for money? No shade to anyone who does like GoFundMe or whatever, but it's the avenue I want to explore. I just don't feel right about asking people for money. It literally gives me a panic attack. So what other ways do you guys have of raising funds for film? Thanks again. I don't want to start a fight. Crowdfunding is a valuable resource for some, and I'm sure it can be done. Just can't do it without having a nervous effing breakdown. So if you got any other ideas, shoot them at me. And that is from... So yeah, other avenues of funding besides being independently wealthy.
Well, okay, but hold on. You set it up as if this person said that they were independently wealthy.
No, that's what I thought. Then I read the second one.
Okay, yeah, that's not what they said.
Yeah. So yeah, what's other avenues of funding a film that's not GoFundMe's and that's not you having to be really loaded with cash?
Doing other work. Just working and then saving and then working some more until you have money.
That's what they do. Film. So what they do.
Yeah, to fund their film, yeah.
But I mean, they didn't say feature or short. So it could be a short.
Fund your project.
Yeah.
Well, if it's just, I think if it's a short, then probably that way. But then also shorts, people fund shorts. There's companies that
there's competitions and things.
that buy films to, like you pitch the film and then they buy the film and then they put money up for it. That's
and then you can make it. Yeah.
I think Yaku had a good point there as well. Like if you have a really, really good script or a script that you're proud of, that you went through a couple of drafts, so there's really good competitions to enter it into that fund this kind of thing. So, and that's not crowdfunding, that's like literally you just go like one-on-one kind of thing. So letting your work speak for, so I think if your work speaks for itself, then those kind of avenues would be best. Is the writing competitions, like just list some that they could go through, like that the listeners could also.
I've been like targeted on Instagram for like ads. So I don't know, there's a lot of competitions you can enter. I feel like to get to like the point of the question though, it's like if you're talking about funding a feature film, you have to just pitch a bunch of stuff until it sticks. I don't know if there's any other way. If it's a short film, do the work that you're doing, save a lot of your paycheck, and then just do it.
Or you can get funding for shorts as well.
Or you can get funding for shorts from the competitions or
even the government. The government does. There's like for us, we have things locally that's like the NAVF and like the Gauteng
film board.
Yeah, so it's like we can even go to like the local government fundings and stuff like that. That's really good options. But also just a note to Rego, being super scared of crowdfunding and stuff like that should not like matter. Like we're all super scared. Like you're gonna be worse scared on one-on-one pitches and stuff. You shouldn't close yourself to options just from fear. That's the wrong way to approach funding your film. I think if you believe in your project, you should be, like, I know it can be really scary, especially pitches and especially like elevator pitches and stuff like that. But I think you need to sometimes also just climb over that fear and not close over options just because of your fear. Like that could have been like a really good option for you. And like we always say, just trying to do something that makes you scared. You need to, that's like, for me, I don't think that's a good enough reason to not look for an avenue. Like, I think maybe get someone that can help you pitch to those kind of things or work on those kind of things. But I don't think you should close yourself based off a feeling of fear. Like if it's something that, like there's a lot of things to be scared about, especially with pitches and stuff like that. But I don't think you should allow it to control the fate of your project.
Yeah.
There's also like residencies, like writing residencies. And once you get a part of those residencies, then you can... you get like mentors and then you meet the people and then you with those people they help you to pitch your project to finances and distributors and all that. And then also I know with festivals like TIFF and Sundance and even the Durban Film Festival, a similar sort of thing where you get like you do workshops, you take your project, you do workshops, you get paired up with a mentor, and then you get put in the right rooms to pitch the projects and stuff. So there's
ways.
And I think this also just feeds back to that previous question we had about finding producers. Also these other avenues as well to just, when you put your script out there, you get those kind of funders and backers. But I think that's enough for this episode. All right, cool. So that's it for this episode. I really enjoyed going through some of those Reddit forums because I feel like it also just answers some of maybe our viewers or listeners' questions as well. So if you like this content, if you like this video in particular, please, we say this all the time, but we try to be as original as possible. Just hit that like, please.
Super original.
Just the like, give us one of these things, please. We have videos talking about filmmaking. We have videos discussing gear as well. We have videos where we have special guests. So please have a look at our previous archive of videos if you like anything there as well. And and if you enjoy any of those videos, please just hit that subscribe, please. This also just helps fund a lot of our projects as well. And if you really, really times 5 like it, give it a share. Share it with your friends. And please also just comment if you'd like have any other ideas for videos. And if you really enjoyed this video, there will be a part 2 as well. So look out for that. So that's good motivation to hit this thing known as the bell notification. So hit that and you won't miss out part 2 if you enjoyed this. But until next time, go out there, stay safe,
and make your movie.